Hey guys, welcome to the Jeff Bruce. I'm Jeff Bruce. Today we're talking about the 5 phrases you need to implement as a parent to have the best possible kids. Let's go. All right, number 1, you know it, but chances are you don't say it enough, and that is I love you. These 8 letters are life-changing, not just for our children, but for all of us. And this is a phrase that it is perfectly okay to become a ritual and a habit that you say every single day to your children. In fact, if you've gotten to the point where your children expect it, then you've got this one right. But if it's not a habit yet, pause this video, go find your children, tell them you love them, and then come back and get the next 4. So even though we know this phrase, why is it so important that we hear it? Because I love you communicates that you are cared for, you are valued, you are safe. It lets them know that you have their back and they're going to become more resilient as a result of that. So do not neglect I love you. So my kids are not perfect, but we did a pretty good job. And one of the things that we did right as a parent is we told our kids pretty much every night, I love you. And what's kind of cool about it is now when my kids go to bed, if I forget or my wife forgets, they'll say, I love you. And man, as a parent, that is so heartwarming for your kids to take that initiative to say, I love you. So get to that point. When you've gotten there, then you definitely have this one down. Okay, number 2, you will find this on a lot of lists as well, but it is, I'm proud of you. Kids need to hear on a regular basis that you are proud of the things that they do. Now, some people don't like this one because there's conditions attached to it. We're not proud of everything our kids do. And so, yes, it's true. This one is kind of tied to positive behavior and it's a form of positive reinforcement, but it also speaks value into your children and directs them towards the right behavior and the right decisions and actually promotes wisdom in your children. We live in a culture today where we tend to kind of coddle our kids and make it like they can do no wrong. If you have young children, you know that they can do some wrong. Older children too. And so I'm telling you, use this phrase when it applies to the right behavior that your kids are doing. So yes, it is performance-based. Now, let's go back to number 1. That doesn't mean that we don't love our children. Our love for our children is unconditional, but I'm proud of you does have conditions. So if they're performing well in school, if you see them make a hard decision or do a hard thing or be respectful to somebody, anytime we have the opportunity to tell our kids we're proud of them, we should take advantage of that. Just like the phrase, I love you, I think the problem that we have as parents is we fail to say it when we think it. So as soon as this phrase comes to your mind, make sure you are sharing it with your children. Keeping it to yourself really does no good to them. I'm reading a book by Tim Schurer called The Secret Society of Success. And there's a section where he talks about the importance of recognition. He's mostly talking about a work context where recognition promotes this positive environment in the workplace. I've kind of learned myself as an employer how important it is to recognize my staff. In fact, I need to do the same thing I'm talking about and make sure that when I'm proud of my staff, I'm actually verbalizing that and recognizing them for what they've done. Because that lets them know, hey, I'm doing the right thing and my boss is proud of me. Who doesn't love to hear that from their supervisor, that they're doing their job well? And so the same is true as a parent. Communicate to your children that you are proud of them and they will continue to do those right things. Now, from a male perspective, which I know much better than a female perspective, I know how important it is as a father to tell your son that you're proud of them. I think for a son, that is one of the most important things you can tell them. It's right up there with I love you. And as a father, I know how important it is for me to speak this into my girls as well. Now, speaking specifically to the fathers, it is so important that all these phrases come from you as well as your wife. Men typically say, I don't know what the percentage is, but a heck of a lot less per day than women do. So those limited words that do come out of your mouth need to include these 5 phrases to your children. All right, phrase number 3 is actually not even a phrase, it's one single word, no. Now, I know that no is kind of negative sounding. Now, back in the old days, parents had no problem saying no to their kids. But it seems today, and maybe I'm just a little biased, that parents have a more difficult time saying no because they just want their kids to be happy and to have everything. Saying no doesn't necessarily take away happiness from your kids. In fact, what it will do is promote long-term joy in your kid's life. One of the biggest advantages of the word no is it teaches your kids patience because typically it's in response to your kids asking for something. Doesn't mean we need to say no all the time, but kids want things all the time. As parents, we have experience and we have wisdom and we know that sometimes the word no is actually a lot better for our kids. No also teaches your kids that you are the authority, you're the leader, and that is something that they can aspire to because we want them to be able to say no in the future as well. Giving a child everything they want does more harm than good, so it is okay to say no to your children sometimes. Okay, and phrase number 4. There's actually a variety of ways you can say this, but some of them are, I got your back. I believe in you. You can do this. However you want to put this phrase, it communicates to your child that you are on their side and that you have confidence in what they are capable of doing. I think the majority of kids at some point sort of lack some self-confidence. Maybe it is performing in front of others or giving a speech. Maybe it is playing a new sport. Even something like talking on the phone or going to a job interview really tends to scare kids, especially these days. But when you communicate to your kids that you believe in them and that they are capable of doing this, it gives them this extra boost of confidence to actually step into the hard things. This phrase is a self-confidence booster, and kids need to hear this from you. Now, when your kids already know and believe that you love them and you are proud of them, when they hear that you've got their back and you believe they can do these hard things, it is going to be so much more valuable to them. All right, phrase number 5 is actually a 2-for-1. These phrases are I'm sorry and I forgive you. Yes, as parents, believe it or not, we screw up from time to time. Kids sometimes know how to push our buttons and we kind of erupt. Maybe we say something we regret, or we just aren't empathetic to maybe what they're going through. And as a parent, it is so important for your kids to hear you say, I'm sorry, because you are a role model for them. If you show that you are able to apologize and ask for forgiveness from your children, it is going to set up a standard for your kids. Now, for younger kids, you're probably going to need to teach them to say, I'm sorry, or say, hey, you need to apologize for that. As fallen people, it actually kind of goes against the grain to apologize and say, I'm sorry. So kids need to learn that this is an important part of restoring relationships. And it's really a great opportunity to go back to our relationship with God and how He forgives us and we apologize for the sin in our lives. Man, great opportunities there to share the gospel. And then the part 2 to that phrase is I forgive you. If your kids actually get to the point where they're saying, Dad, I'm sorry, or Mom, I'm sorry for what I did, it is so important for you to say, I forgive you. That is the final restoration to that relationship. So listen, I bet none of these phrases were new to you. That's great. But the hard part is actually implementing it, actually letting these words come out of our mouth. I think I shared in another video about a book I read called Holy Hunches by Bruce Main. And the premise of the book is we think in our mind good things about people all the time, or we think about a good thing that we can do for somebody, but then we just have the thought and there's no action following. Action is the most important part. Let these words come out of your mouth on a regular basis, and you're going to be doing the best possible job as a parent, and you're going to have the best possible kids you can. So parents, if you want your kids to be more confident and to be more assertive as they grow up, check out these videos. Thank you guys for checking out the Jeff Bruce. See you next time.